Okay, this is the opening to my work in progress, a murder mystery set in my native Scotland. He should never have agreed to come. Honestly, who does this? A secret meeting at a cliff-top caravan park in November? Doogie shifted his shoulders inside his barber jacket, a gift from Audrey, trying to make himself a smaller target for the biting sea air. He ran a hand through his too long hair, gaining a moment's relief before it whipped back into his eyes again. Maybe he should get it cut. Audrey said it showed more grey this way. He squinted into the headlights of the BMW facing him, the only other car up here at this time of night, at this time of year. The dark figure by the Beamer took a step towards him. I don't know what Audrey thinks she has, but it's nothing, a misunderstanding. Audrey. Of course, Audrey Orr was the reason he was out here, freezing his balls off, listening to the bleatings of this pathetic excuse for a human being. Aye, anything for Audrey. The managing editor who praised his photographs, demanded absolute loyalty, and occasionally, just when she felt like it, let him into her knickers. Doogie said nothing, didn't move, didn't flinch at that sing-song voice that had grated on him since their days together at the Dunople Primary School. See, he was mature enough to rise above petty childhood rivalries. Come on, Doogie, what's she going to print? Couldn't tell you. Something hot flared in Doogie's gut. I'm just the photographer. All those people he'd been at school with, talentless, arrogant shites, who'd risen to be big fish in their very wee pond, didn't they all just look down on him, just the photographer for the local weekly, until they needed something? He told himself he didn't care. Told himself every damn time. I'm serious if she prints anything. And that was what had dragged Doogie out here on his one night off. The hint of a threat in this afternoon's phone call. The phone call that set up this ridiculous meeting. Just tell her it's all a misunderstanding. Tell her I can explain. Waves crashed on the rocks below them. A plane droned overhead. Some lucky bugger heading off to Florida or Marbella likely. And here he was, standing on a cliff with this numpty, who'd clearly never seen Audrey or when she got the bit between her teeth. Sod this for a game of soldiers, Doogie said. I'm freezing. I'm away home. You have a problem with Audrey? Talk to her. He backed away from the Beamer and opened the door of his own tin can. The Fiat technically belonged to the Dunocle Observer, but it was always Doogie behind the wheel. Easy to park, fuel efficient, cheap. Douglas! An unmistakable note of desperation blew towards him on the North Atlantic air. He looked up and smiled at the use of his full name. A better person would be moved to pity. A better person would be outraged at the attempt to, what was it Audrey said, subvert the freedom of the press? Something about the Beamer caught his photographer's eye. Something wrong with the line of the car. Then he saw it. The newer grille didn't match the older model. Ah, that was priceless. Nice touch up on the car. You must know someone in the trade, he grinned. Don't worry, most folks will never notice. Of all the compromises he'd made in his life, not being a better person was the one Doogie found easiest to live with. The heat in his gut subsided into a warm glow like that first guilty heat from a dram taken a little too early in the day again. Chuckling now, he slammed the Fiat's door and reversed out onto the main road. For once in his life, it looked like one of those snooty, better-than-you clowns was going to get what was coming to them. He'd not waste any time reading about it. Doogie flipped on his full beams and nosed down the winding hill, wondering what Audrey had found that made his old friend so nervous. Could be anything. Small towns had a way of breeding not quite legal favours that didn't do anyone any harm until they did. He eased around a bend. He hated this hill at the best of times, even more in November when an early freeze could bring black ice. Far below, just a few feet from his passenger door, the dark sea churned over rocks at the bottom of the cliff. Gave him the heebie-jeebies every time. But he'd be fine and dandy once he got past the rock that marked the end of the cliff top. Years ago, someone had painted Jesus saves on it. Well, maybe Jesus did save, but a guardrail wouldn't have gone amiss either. Bloody Audrey, was there anything he wouldn't do for that woman? He hadn't even told her he was out here. Lights in the rear view mirror dazzled him. Round lights. Coming up fast. Doogie swore and tapped his brakes twice to signal the other driver to slow down. Surely they weren't going to try and pass him on this road. Then a bang, a terrible jolt, and the back end of the car was sliding away from him into the middle of the road. Don't overcorrect. Turn into the skid. He yanked on the wheel, focused on keeping the car away from the edge. He could do it. He could do it. White headlights lit his interior as he spun past the other car. A pale face, its mouth an O framed behind the windshield. That'll put a nasty dent in your precious BMW, you bugger. He yanked the wheel again. The cliff edge slid closer. It was not going to end like this. He had plenty of time to react. The car would stop before the edge. He'd have a story to tell the barman, who'd surely buy his pint for him for his right. Maybe a wee dram on the side too. He'd knuckle down and finally spend his days off taking art shots. He wouldn't wait until he was retired. He'd finally tell Audrey. The car jolted as he hit the coarse grass at the edge of the road. The brake pedal ground against the threadbare floor mat. Almost stopped, almost safe. He spent a moment suspended on the edge of the cliff. And then he was flying. The tumbling and wheeling was more peaceful than he'd have expected, had he given it much thought. He saw whirls of reflected light on the waves, a flash of white from a night-flying gull. The orange beacon on top of a buoy spiraled past his passenger window. His last thought, before the Fiat hit the rocks, was bloody Audrey Orr.